Welcome back, everyone, to the A.D.D show, where we're not always right, but we're never wrong. As usual, I'm Mark.
And I'm Hans, and today we're going to have another little special going. We're going to have Nate with us once again. We're going to go over a little bit of the NFC East, DC, Cowboys, maybe a couple other teams, just disappointing teams that have disappointed us this year. And we're going to definitely bring up Washington football team because Nate is a Washington football fan. So with that, Mark?
Yes, how you guys doing today? I'm looking forward to this. Nate called me the other day on the phone, and my wife's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I put him on speaker, and she's like, "Are you serious?" Nate was going off on the Washington football team. He had his opinions. He asked if we could have a special episode since we're on vacation. We told him sure. So Nate, with that, how you doing? You calmed down a little bit, or are you still fired up?
I mean, I'm calmed down right now, but I can imagine in about 20 minutes I'll be pretty fired up.
All right, fair enough. So before we had this all set up, I mistakenly asked a question, and Nate and Christian both just went off. I was like, man, this is perfect for the show. So I'm going to try to recreate this. So we're talking about the Washington football team. The main thing we want to talk about is the benching of Haskins. My thing is I wrote down a couple things. I'm going to say a little bit of what I wrote down, and then the question that I asked you both just a minute ago, I'm going to ask again, and I'm going to have you guys give your opinions. My thing is this. It was a smart benching, okay? Yes, Haskins, you're not winning, but Haskins is not the answer. He needs to learn how to be a pro. He needs to learn how to be a quarterback in the NFL. He needs to learn that if this isn't, and the question I had is, where's the kid that played at OSU? He needs to learn that he can't just show up on the field and be better than everybody else. And by him being benched, he's going to learn how to play the position, or he's going to learn that he's going to be out of the league like DeMarcus Russell was.
Yeah.
Nate had a couple good things that I didn't know about, that you didn't know about, that he just stated.
That's why I'm going to go here in a second before Nate, because I want to reiterate something.
Yep. So my question was to both of them is, where's the kid that played at OSU?
So I want to answer first just because Nate said something off air that I want to say, but I want to still say what I was originally going to say because he changed my mind a little bit. So I'm going to still go back from yesterday.
Okay.
I still don't think benching him was the correct idea as of 8 minutes ago.
Okay.
But again, I'm going to still let him say his point. It just looks like when your quarterback room is bad, right? And it's nothing against the talents there. Alex Smith's a great guy, right? But his injury, we don't know what he's doing with a quarter of a leg. Kyle Allen, we saw what he was doing. I don't think he was that good. Haskins is your young first-round pick.
Yeah.
You drafted him to be your future, and benching him says one thing to me. He's not your future.
No.
But I still think he's the best on the roster.
This is where I disagree. And Nate, I'm sorry, I know you want to get into this, but this is where I disagree with you strongly. He's going to learn. The quarterback room may be bad.
Yeah.
He may be the best quarterback on your roster, which I don't think he is, but he may be your future. He still needs to learn how to play. But these two guys that are behind him are professionals. They show up every day. They stay late. They do the work. And that is what he needs to learn.
But that's what we're going to let Nate do that he told me before the thing went on. I'm simply going on based on the field. The mechanics are okay. He's got a couple things wrong. I didn't know the off the field. He's the first one to leave. I'm going to let Nate get in that. I'm actually just Nate, go ahead. I'm going to let Nate go.
So, yesterday, Les Carpenter, writer for The Athletic, put out an article stating that Dwayne Haskins' off-the-field problems are much bigger than people think. And this was something that I thought all along, because when Ron Rivera first got here, he gave a list of things to Dwayne that he wanted him to do. It seemed like Dwayne did them. The players in the locker room voted Dwayne a captain after the short mini camp that they had. But again, it was a shortened mini camp. It wasn't arduous like it always is. What I'm seeing is a coach who is frustrated with his starting quarterback. 2 weeks ago, he was saying that Dwayne's the starter, they're going to roll with it. Well, now he's completely flipped the script. And I do think that the structure of the NFC East and the fact that every other team is so bad right now has a massive part to do with this. But you have guys, I mean, Ron Rivera said it multiple times. He said it on NFL radio. He said it in his press conference that people aren't seeing what's going on in the locker room. They're not seeing the reactions of other players on the sideline during practice in any game. What he's seeing is, as a guy who's a former player and been a coach for a long time, a bunch of frustrated guys who don't think that it's fair that 52 other guys are being held back by the development of one person. And the problem is if Dwayne Haskins was putting in the time and doing everything right, I think people would give him the benefit of the doubt. But when you have a report come out by, again, Les Carpenter, I want to give him credit, saying that, Alex Smith and Kyle Allen are there later in the day. They're there before him. They know the playbook. There's been many a time. I mean, they have a logging system to see how much time players watch video, and Dwayne Haskins is one of the lowest on the entire team at watching film. I mean, this literally sounds like Jamarcus Russell. When Jamarcus Russell got drafted by the Raiders, they handed him a videotape, a blank videotape.
I love that story. I love this.
And asked him the next day what he saw, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw a really intense blitz scheme that I'm going to focus on this week." Like that, I'm seeing this all over again. This kid has all the intangibles. Dwayne Haskins has everything you want. He's got a big stature. He can move. He's got a cannon for an arm, but he's not there mentally. I mean, and one of the things that he said at the end of last season in an interview was that he wanted to just take time in the offseason and not worry about football. Well, I think if you're a quarterback in the NFL, especially a first-round pick who didn't start right away, maybe you should put in a lot of extra time. I mean, you're not getting paid millions of dollars just to go out and play 16 games. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a year-round gladiator sport and put in the time to mentally prepare for this, and he's not doing it. That's why Brady's so successful.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say even people like Kyle Allen, people like Brian Hoyer, they put in the work year after year. That is why they still are on teams.
Well, say Kyle Allen's only been in the league 3 years,
but you know what I mean. But like these career backups, they're in the league for a reason. Because they put in the work, and they, Fitzpatrick. It's a great example.
Yeah,
they put in the work, and they win the locker room, and in the locker room people love them.
Josh McCown.
But Nate, something you said in the very beginning of what you were saying, I have a question. And you said the fact that the NFC East is so bad, this was the reason why he decided to make the change. Now, do you really think Rivera thinks they can win the East and make the playoffs? Or do you think this is a perfect excuse to bench Haskins, to send this kid a message, but now in the media, he has an excuse where he doesn't technically have to answer the hard questions and throw Haskins under the bus. It's other players, anonymous sources are telling these guys that he's not putting in the work, but Rivera doesn't have to say it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a perfect storm of both of those things. I mean, so one of the things that Rivera said on NFL radio, I believe it was 2 days ago, was that when he first came here, one of the first things that the leader in the locker room, Jonathan Allen, said was, "I'm tired of losing, and this team is tired of losing." So Ron Rivera sees an opportunity where the Giants, I don't even know if they're going to win a game this year. There are 21 players in the NFL that have scored more touchdowns than the entire Giants offense combined.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Yes.
Their defense is bad. Their offense is bad.
I think they will score 4 or 5 touchdowns this week, though.
Maybe.
I just got a death stare from Christian.
Really?
I mean, worst offense against worst defense is going to be great to see. But I mean, Philly, Carson Wentz has not been himself. I don't know what's going on with him. I go on record. I've been on the show saying it. I believe in Carson. I think he's going to get it right. I mean, they don't win that game against San Fran without Carson. Granted, San Francisco handed it to him on a silver platter, but Dallas is an absolute dumpster fire. They have offensive firepower, but if you stop Dallas twice, you can win the game because their defense isn't going to stop you once.
Right.
And Ron Rivera sees a defense that has a lot of talent, and especially when, like in Week 1, when they weren't on the field, 80% of the game, they were very successful defense. They're able to use the pass rush. They're able to get to the quarterback with 4 pass rushers. They have an offensive weapon in Terry McLaurin, who has now emerged as a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Bona fide, you can stamp it, that's the truth. They have an up-and-coming running back in Antonio Gibson, who is going to get 25 touches and probably get 100 yards combined between rushing and receiving.
Nate, me and Mark were just talking about that last night or a few days ago. Maybe
last night.
It was last night. And I was saying, you know what's crazy looking at my fantasy team? I'm going to let you finish, but you brought up Antonio Gibson. That dude's a bona fide RB1. I mean, I'm not being fantasy-wise. Like, I didn't expect him, and I'm glad I picked him up in almost every league undrafted. And I'm just bringing up fantasy right now. That dude's really good. And I kept saying in every podcast, Terry McLaurin's about the only quality offensive weapon. That kid's there.
Well,
that kid's...
There was a reason why Rivera let AP go.
Yeah.
And
he knew something.
It was this kid. He needed to get him on the field.
I like Logan Thomas, too, but I like this. I like this running back. He's going to be something to watch, pay attention to in the NFC East. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
I think what Rivera sees is, Chase Young's been practicing this week. He's likely to come back. Wes Schweitzer, who's filled in for Brandon Sheriff, has played above his head and is probably going to move over to left guard and take over for Wes Martin once Sheriff comes back. Morgan Moses has played a lot better than people thought. And one thing that people can't say, so you take a team like the Washington football team, who is one of the most penalized teams in football over the last 5 years. We had 2 penalties on Sunday against the Ravens. 2.
Yeah.
And Morgan Moses has been the most penalized guy. So Ron Rivera has come in, and he's already changed the culture. He's providing the team an opportunity to say, guys, this division is not unwinnable. I've won a division at 7-9, and then I beat the Cardinals, and then I went into Seattle and lost by 3 points with a 7-9 team. He's done it before. He's seen it done. He knows that it can be done, especially in this division. So what he's doing is saying, hey, this team's tired of losing. I'm tired of losing. He was ready to punt on the season, but because Philly and Dallas both decided they're going to crap the pants this year, he's going to seize the opportunity and try to win the division, and I'm all for it. I'd rather win the division at 7-9 and make the playoffs than have another top 5 pick.
Yes.
I just would.
Now, to piggyback on what you just said about Ron Rivera, I think this move shows this is Rivera's team.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
his team now. He's calling the shots. He's making the tough calls. This isn't Dan Snyder calling from the, suite upstairs saying, do this, do that. This is Rivera's team. He has to show this team how to win. And I think he is the right person. I think you have the right person in charge. The problem is, and what we said it in the first week of this podcast, we've said it when we had everybody together, is Haskins the guy? If Haskins is the guy, you're in good shape. If he's not, you're another year behind. And you have to make that decision. Unfortunately, if he's not working hard or he doesn't get his work ethic up and he doesn't start showing the team that he's about winning and about the team and about getting better, then they got to cut bait now. Mm-hmm. They got to say, you know what? See ya. We're not extending you ever. We're cutting you now, and you're gone. And
first-round picks cost a lot to cut.
The thing about this whole thing is we're talking about a quarterback who has all the intangibles and is just not using them. Well, I think the biggest problem with Dwayne Haskins is simply he's immature. He was not mentally prepared to make this an everyday job. In college, you can take days off and still be, the QB1 at Ohio State because you're just simply taller and better than everybody else, and you can throw the ball farther, and you have receivers who are just going to go catch it. Yeah. Well, he had 3 wide receivers on that team that are now all on NFL rosters. He had a tight end on that team who's on an NFL roster.
And his lineman, yeah.
His lineman. He had an all-star defense, and he played in a division, in a conference that has 4 good teams, and then the rest are garbage.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the New York Jets are still going to punch you in the mouth and give you a run for your money. You're still playing against men.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Haskins has showed time and time again, he's so immature. And the biggest thing that this happened last night, and it absolutely pissed me off. He unfollowed the Washington football team on all social media, and he also unfollowed Kyle Allen. Well, that is a petty middle school, high school move.
I've never understood.
I'm not here for it.
I've never understood why people do that. Like, even in the ways of, like, NBA, different stuff like that, when things happen, they get so mad that their best decision to do is take to Twitter or unfollow their teams. It's like a petty. It's so immature.
It's the type of thing. It's the immaturity, but it's also coming from somebody that's had everything in the world handed to him year after year after year.
Even in high school.
In high school, everything was handed to him. In college, everything was handed to him. And now he's in the pros where he has to work for it, and he has a coach that's making him work for it. And I'm sorry, you're not handed anything. And look at, I will say this strictly, Marcus Mariota didn't get a 5th-year option out of Tennessee because he wasn't putting in the work and he wasn't getting better.
Yeah.
Now he's a backup. Now, the Raiders were saying, oh, how great he looks, and Derek Carr's going to get benched. Haven't even heard a bleep out of him, at all. And Derek Carr's played well.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, you need to grow up, and you need to grow up fast, or you will not be in the NFL after year 4.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt there, Nate, but that's the facts of the NFL. If you don't put in the work, you're gone.
Right. And the other part to this that people seem to not understand, especially, living in the DMV and listening to local media outlets and following them on Twitter and all this stuff, Ron Rivera and his staff didn't pick him. They didn't pick Dwayne. They didn't.
Right.
And Jay Gruden didn't even want Dwayne. Jay Gruden wanted to trade up for Daniel Jones.
Rivera brought in.
You had a coach who was in a make-or-break season in Jay Gruden. He had to win. And what did Dan Snyder do? He said, no, you're picking Dwayne Haskins, and you're gonna run with him and try to develop a quarterback, even though if you lose 3 of the first 5 games, you're getting fired. Well, Ron Rivera stepped into a situation where he said, I've got somebody who I didn't choose. I'm going to try to evaluate.
And he brought in Kyle
let
Allen.
him go if I don't like it. And the thing that really irks me is people are like, you didn't give him enough time. Well, I'm a stats guy. I'm going to throw some at you real quick. Josh Rosen was picked 10th. He got 13 games before he got the boot. Deshaun Kaiser was picked in the 2nd round, 17 games. Paxton Lynch, 4 starts. E.J. Manuel, 13th pick, 14 starts gone.
E.J.
Brandon
Manuel.
Wheaton, 22nd pick, 20 games gone. Matt Leinart, 10th pick, 17 games gone. You don't get all the time in the world when you're a quarterback. You just don't.
No.
Not every system is built like the Rams, where you can give Jared Goff time because he has umpteen thousand weapons around him and a great defense.
Right. Now, my question to you is this, is I know in the group chat, you, your brother, Xander, Logan, Danny, you're all Redskin fans, or Washington football team fans. I know Logan is on board and loves Haskins. I know he is. He says it all the time that he hasn't been playing bad. He hasn't been playing bad. We got to, got to get him more help. Got to get him more help. When he was drafted, what was your initial reaction?
I didn't like it, honestly. I thought my personal opinion was we had brought in Case Keenum. I liked Haskins' tape. He looked great on tape. I hate quarterbacks who only have 1 year in college. I think that quarterbacks, if you're smart, you do the Trevor Lawrence thing, you do the Joe Burrow thing, the Justin Herbert thing. I mean, I just said it in our group chat the other day. Everyone knows I thought Justin Herbert was going to suck because his tape didn't look good. Mm-hmm. But he has the experience in college to step in and have the poise in the pocket to understand the game at a higher level because he had the time in college. I didn't like Dwayne Haskins. I didn't want that pick. I wanted a wide receiver or a lineman, to be honest with you. But what happened was Jan Snyder wanted Haskins, so he picked Haskins. And then to appease the coaching staff, he allowed them to trade a second-round pick back up into the first round to get Montez Sweat.
Okay.
I like that Sweat pick, though.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Monster. So I just, for me, my last thing on the Washington football team is this. They're building right.
Oh, yeah.
So they're building right. And you have to say, in my opinion, in the NFL, you build from the inside out. Mm-hmm. A lot of teams and a lot of people say, no, you need to get the quarterback right, and then you build inside out. It's tough because you can get your quarterback killed before you build, get the rest of those linemen. But Haskins has to grow up. And he has to realize he is the guy. Now, Allen, I didn't realize he was that young.
Yeah, he was Texas A&M about 3 years ago. So you technically have somebody that's played in Ron Rivera's system, and you have a guy that could easily... I think he was a rookie, Ron Rivera's last year in the Panthers.
Okay, so...
No. This is Kyle Allen's 3rd year in the NFL.
Yeah, 3rd year, right?
So
and
he was...
Rivera was the coach of the Panthers 3 years ago.
No, 2 years.
He was the coach of the Panthers last year. He got fired last year.
Last
Okay,
year.
so he spent 2. Okay,
Yeah, so
I got you. I thought he took a year off like McCarthy did. I'm sorry.
Technically, if Allen shows any type of improvement from when he played with Carolina, which he had a few
Carolina
bright spots.
They had a bad team around him too.
Yeah.
You gotta understand. The
And
offense
then-
was very
5-1
bad.
in his first 6 games,
Yeah.
and then he lost 6 straight.
Yeah.
Yes. And so if he shows anything, I mean, you technically don't take a step backwards because you have a young enough quarterback that you can really go with. And my whole thing is this. I'm sorry. I love Alex Smith. Okay. I don't think he should be the starter. Okay. I will say that right off. He is a veteran. But what I think is if Haskins can't learn from the consummate pro of Haskins, of Smith, who got benched because of an injury at San Francisco, but still mentored Colin Kaepernick, still helped him every step of the way, knew his job was in jeopardy when they drafted Mahomes, had a career year, but still taught Patrick Mahomes certain things and taught him how to watch film, taught him how to do this stuff. And Andy Reid said, Mahomes, pay attention. And Mahomes did. And Mahomes gives all the credit in the world to Alex Smith. He always has. And so if you're smart, you pay attention to what he does. I'm sorry, you pay attention to what he says. He's a damn good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows, I think he'd be a great quarterbacks coach in the league. I don't know if, Nate, you disagree with me on that, but I think they have a great backup in Alex Smith that can teach these young guys if they allow him to.
I think that's 100% correct. And I think that all the reports I've read are that Kyle Allen has really taken a liking to Alex Smith. And I think that when Alex Smith was cleared to play, that was almost kind of like a threat to Dwayne. And I don't think he liked it, personally. Dwayne's a very emotional guy, as everybody has now seen. I think that if I'm a betting man, I honestly think that Kyle Allen is a bridge to Alex Smith. I do think this season Alex Smith is going to play quarterback unless Kyle Allen just absolutely lights the world on fire. If Kyle Allen comes in, and to be honest with you,
he doesn't have to light the world on fire. Yeah,
I think this division's going to be out.
He doesn't have to light the division on fire. He just has to show up and play 5. He just needs to play better than above average. Just needs to play average, and that'll be fine.
Right. And Ron Rivera looked at the schedule and he noted this. We play the Rams this week, and then we play Giants, Cowboys, Giants. If you can't put up numbers against the Giants twice and the Cowboys, then I don't think anybody on that team, everyone needs to go.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Allen actually said it today. He said, "I don't care who plays quarterback or who plays what position. I want to win, and we want to win." So clearly, the team. Jonathan Allen is the spokesperson for the defense and the locker room, and if he's saying that, that means the team is behind it.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get into, I'm going to read what I wrote about the Cowboys. Okay. And I want honest opinions about what I'm saying. I don't want fanboy. Okay. That's
I never talk about Dallas from a fanboy perspective.
Okay.
I really don't.
But this is what I wrote.
Okay.
And this is my honest questions and honest opinions. Okay. So I'm going to read my first sentence last. Players get their money, they stop playing hard. Not the coach's fault, but players not being as good as advertised. When will we finally say maybe the talent on the Cowboys is overrated, which makes the team overrated? So the players on the team that everybody says is elite or superstars actually aren't. And the only reason why they're considered that is because of maybe 1 or 2 good seasons behind the best offensive line. Or maybe it was, because they play for the Cowboys, they're rated a lot higher than what they should be. That is my honest question, because you can't have mediocre seasons year in, year out, and only blame the coaches. Sooner or later, you have to look deep at your roster and be like, are we overrating these guys?
All right, so let me answer this as best I can, not from a non-fanboy experience. I believe that it's to the point that DeMarcus Lawrence is overrated. I will be the first to admit. But when it comes to a couple other players, I'm not ready to do that yet. I think I'm close. I'm close to agreeing with you. The only reason I'm going to say no for, especially when it comes to like Amari Cooper, it comes to Zeke, or comes to these guys, is people always, and I've said this, behind the best O-line, we haven't had that in almost 3 years now. We've had a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. We've had center out all last year. Now no center. We have a rookie. We have a rookie right end who's getting blasted by everybody. We're actually, as of today, like the 15th or 16th O-line in the league. So it's not the same as it was, right? Mm-hmm. So I still see Zeke putting up decent enough numbers. Of course, not enough to make it worth anything because he's not able to play because we're giving up so many points. Dak, his mechanics look fine. His feet work look fine. He's making great throws. I don't see any reason why he's taken even a step backwards. I think he's taken a step forwards. Amari Cooper is still 5th in the league right now in yardage per game. Again, stats are being expressed because of how bad our defense is. I would say many players have definitely taken a step back. Again, I'm not here to blame injuries. No, our O-line hasn't played one game together, all of them healthy, in almost 3 seasons, right? So we gave that little nudge to the Eagles, right? We said, well, they're not healthy. We gave that nudge to the Giants. You said that. Well, they haven't had their whole team together. Well, we haven't either in 3 years. So when do we get credit for that, right? So I'm not here to blame injuries. What I'm here to do is saying we're not playing up to the potential we should be. Our defense is playing like garbage, and our quarterback and our offense should not have to play at the level they're at because they're not designed to play like that. They're designed to run the ball, and I agree with you, run through Zeke, run with Pollard, short little passes, Dak about 200, 210 yards, keep the ball from turning it over. But when Dak has to throw 500 yards, it's physically impossible for any quarterback in the league to not throw an interception once or twice. It just doesn't happen.
Okay.
It just doesn't happen. But overrated, a couple players, yes. The team in general, not yet. But it's close. If they don't start putting up wins against these next 5 easy opponents that we have coming up, I'm going to definitely be concerned.
The best defense is a running game.
I understand that.
Okay. And
you're not going to run the ball when you're down by 2 scores.
You're not down by 2 scores when the game starts. You're not down by 2 scores at the end of the first quarter. You're still throwing the ball way too much in the first quarter. And my thing is this, is you're not allowing Zeke to even get into the game because you're not giving him the ball.
Well, when
you're falling in love with the fact that he is throwing for 500 yards. I'm not saying you or anything. I'm saying, and you're giving him the ball and you're having him throw 500 yards. You're not down by 2 scores in the first quarter.
But when we played the Browns, our first 6 plays were runs, and nothing happened. So what's going on? So then if nothing happens, you're 3 and out. You have to start throwing the ball because you're not getting the protection you need for the run game.
Okay, I just feel like we're going to throw stats out. It's if you look at the first half stats for the Cowboys, they're average at best. The second half stats are where
they're even worse, in my opinion.
Second half stats, Dak puts up numbers
but they're playing against prevent defenses. I understand that.
So my thing is this: is you can't throw like the 5th best wide receiver in the game.
Yeah,
I'm saying that certain players have gotten paid. And they're not they're not playing as hard as they were before.
I would mainly just say DeMarcus Lawrence is the only one.
I would say Zeke. I would say Cooper. I would say
Zeke got paid last year and was almost running back of the year. He still almost had the most yards in the league,
and he's still not. Has he had 100 yards this year?
We haven't had to because we've been behind every game. You're not going to use your running back when you're down by 2 scores at halftime. We were down by 2 scores at the end of the first quarter, Mark.
Okay.
The Browns had 28 points at the end of the first quarter.
Let me chime in. Let me chime in here. So
go ahead.
Saying that you're not going to use your running back when you're down by 2 scores at halftime is stupid.
Nobody does though.
Down by 2 scores at halftime. Let me talk. You're down by 2 scores at halftime because of how bad you played in the first half. So why not come out and try to rewrite the script, start the game script over? I mean, Dallas is getting crushed on time of possession in the first half immensely. The offense cannot hold on to the football. They have every single person on that offense has butterfingers right now. Zeke is fumbling the ball. Dak's fumbling the ball. Wide receivers are fumbling the ball. Dak's throwing interceptions. They're playing awful in the first half, and you're putting up garbage time stats against a prevent defense. I'm not taking anything away from Dak because he still has to stand back there and throw the ball 50 times. That's impressive enough. But at the end of the day, your defense is bad, yes. But saying someone like DeMarcus Lawrence is overrated because he doesn't have a sack yet is just that's negligent. He has the 3rd most QB pressures in the NFL. Saying that Amari Cooper is 5th in the league in wide receiving, it's stupid because how many of those yards are coming in the fourth quarter? Like you want to throw out these stats and say that they're the reason why, but that's not the case. Well, the biggest problem with Dallas right now is they're giving up on what they do best too soon. The play calling's garbage. That team is a dumpster fire right now.
And
I don't see any way that they can pull it together at all.
And I'm not attacking the Cowboys, but I do believe I said the first week of the season is who are they, right? And I think we both said, who are they? And I don't think Dallas knows. I think McCarthy is getting a pass because of COVID, and he kept Kellen Moore. And he said, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's just do what we've done and see what happens. Kellen Moore should be fired. The defensive coordinator should be fired.
I don't know why Mike Nolan got praise from Mike McCarthy this week. He said, I think he's doing a good enough job. Are you, excuse me?
Now, and I, you always think we're attacking the Cowboys.
No, I don't think that.
And
not right now.
Like, this is like it's like, what is their identity? Like Nate even said, like he said it, what is their identity? Their identity, I feel, is let's just give the ball to Dak and let him throw. And you can't throw the ball. You can't. Marino never won, but Marino put up stats because they never ran the ball. And the defense was okay, but it wasn't great. And Marino was always throwing the ball 40 times a game in an era where no quarterback threw the ball 40 times a game.
I think there's definitely an identity problem, and I've been saying that for weeks. I don't get into it all the time in the group chat because texting is annoying as hell when you're trying to express how you feel, so that's why I'm here now.
Yes.
Right? This is easier. It's different when people like what you said, well, Marino had a decent enough defense. We don't even get a decent defense. That's my problem.
But I think your defense would be better. It's sort of like Washington's defense right now, okay? We even said it. They're on the field too much, okay?
Yeah.
Dallas is putting up points, but they're not putting up time.
Okay, so how about this? Let me explain this to you, and I want all of you guys to think about any team you want. Probably not DC because they're one of the lower teams like we are. So just pick any team and explain to me this. Dallas starts with the ball. They score in 3.5 minutes. Kind of like a Chiefs kind of quick scoring, Seattle quick scoring, right? Then they give the ball back to the Browns. Baker Mayfield's first drive of the game, 4 for 4, 80 yards, perfect.
Yep.
Not one bad play. Dallas gets back on the field, great. We score 14-7. Browns get the ball back, 14-14. Everybody's going, are we going to stop somebody, right? Then Dak gets the ball back. It's 14-14 with 7 minutes left in the first, mind you, right? So both teams were on the field about 3 minutes, very quick. Dallas gets on the field, two straight, first down with the 50-yard line, and Dak is in a throwing motion, like I said in our podcast. His arm hasn't gone forwards yet. He gets hit by one of the best defenders in the league, Myles Garrett, and fumbles the ball. Now, he didn't fumble it holding it. He fumbled it while throwing it, which is one of the – everybody fumbles that way. So then the Browns get the ball back right there. Then they score. Then we get the ball back and have a terrible 3-and-out, all Dak's fault. Completely Dak's fault. We went 3-and-out. Then the Browns get the ball back again, score again. Tell me what team can do that. You have to expect, real quick – you have to expect that Dak and these teams, I don't care if it's the Jaguars, I don't care if it's Tampa Bay, you have to expect a fumble or an interception here and there or a 3-and-out. Okay. How come the defense doesn't do a little bit better?
Okay,
how's that fair to Dallas, the offense?
Here's the thing, okay? When you don't have momentum, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I understand that.
You slow the game down.
You have to expect the defense to stop a wet noodle at some point.
But when you're talking right there, he fumbled, they're down 7 points.
Yeah.
Okay? Instead of coming out and throwing 3 straight passes, slow the game down. Hand the ball off.
It wasn't 3 straight passes. It was Zeke, and then it was a short throw to Pollard, and then they went, I think Dak QB sneaked it on third or something and missed it. But whatever it was.
You slow the game down, because Cleveland ran the ball really well.
Yeah.
And time of possession was ridiculous in that game. Now,
they did exactly what the Rams did.
I want to get Nate back in here because me and you go back and forth. Sometimes we forget Nate's on the phone. But
look, I mean, Dallas to me is they're a Madden team. That's literally what they are. It doesn't matter who you have in Madden, you're going to score, and you're going to score fast, right? But what happens when you're playing Madden? You end up getting down because you only know that there's 6 minutes in a quarter or whatever. You know that you're down by 10 points and there's 5 minutes left in the quarter, so you start throwing the ball. You start pushing the ball too far downfield on your longer passes, your 4 verts, your corner routes and stuff like that, instead of taking the 5 yards that the other person you're playing is giving you. I hate Dallas, and I think everybody knows that. But I'm a very fair evaluator, in my opinion, and I will admit when I'm wrong. I think Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than I thought he was a year ago. That being said, Dak Prescott still ain't the guy to throw the ball 50 times.
Oh, I 100% agree.
And I think that the problem is Dallas gets down, and they're like, we got to score quick. Why?
Yes.
Why? Dallas wins the game if they control the clock. I guarantee you, if Dallas controls time of possession by 10 or more minutes, they're going to win the game. And you control the time of possession by smart, methodical running plays with smart play action and quick passes. You have wide receivers who are so dynamic after the catch.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper's a great route runner, and he's got tons of yak potential.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb was the number one yak wide receiver in college football last year. But what does Dallas want to do? They want to throw the ball to him when they're 20 yards downfield. But why? It's stupid. Your offensive line, you've mentioned, is hurt. Why are you not running a zone run scheme, getting Zeke out in space where he can make people miss?
Yeah,
the play calling is literally the biggest problem in Dallas. And I know that their defense is horrid. That's a proven fact. They're historically bad right now. But that defense wouldn't be as bad if Dallas would just control the ball. You're not the Chiefs. Stop trying to score in 3 minutes. That's stupid. That's stupid football. And it comes back to Kellen Moore, but it also comes back to McCarthy. McCarthy's the head coach. Why is he allowing this to continue to happen?
So let me ask you this, because this is something I've thought about. As of today, and this is just stats, okay? This doesn't mean an opinion in any way.
Okay.
Dallas right now has the number 1 offense because of prevent garbage time. I know, okay?
Okay.
They have the number 32 ranked defense, and if they could, they would put it 35th because it's that bad. Why? And Dallas should never have the number 1 offense. They should never have the number 1 defense. What is the most to blame, right? I will be here right now and tell you that I don't want to be the one because I've beat the same drum for years. I blame Jason Garrett, and I blame Rob Marinelli, and I can't remember the other offense coordinator we had for years. I'm blaming Kellen Moore, and I said that last night to you, and I'm getting to the point that I'm blaming McCarthy. This isn't Aaron Rodgers' offense. That's my concern. This isn't Aaron Rodgers' team.
This is the thing. Nate said it perfectly here. Okay, so you're down 2 scores at halftime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, end of the first quarter.
Okay, but you were down 2 scores at halftime too. Okay.
Yes, we were. Yeah.
All right. So you're down 2 scores at halftime. You come out and you throw the ball because you panic and you say you have to get back in the game right away. Yeah. I will tell you this, and I agree 100% with Nate. And Nate, we really have to get out of 2020 because me and you this year have been agreeing way too much. But if you control time of possession, even if you're down 2 scores, okay, I firmly believe you have the offense to win that game.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do. And I think that if you take the pressure off of Dak, okay?
I understand. I want that to happen, but it's not.
He won't make those mistakes late in the game. He won't feel that pressure, okay? And that's the thing, because there's times where Dak holds on to the ball, and you've said this many times. He holds on to the ball way too long. Mm-hmm. And it's like, throw the ball away.
Yeah.
Or, dink it to, throw it.
3 of his 4 interceptions are all in the fourth quarter on the last drive of the game because
and
the defense are playing prevent.
Mostly all of his fumbles are because he held on to the ball too long.
Sacked.
Because he's waiting for the 20-yard in or the 20-yard out and everything like that. Yep. You're waiting for something too long to happen.
Yes.
And so, yes, I do think play calling is awful. I
admit that. This year.
And I do believe that if you take some of the pressure off, you have the best. I still believe he's the best running back in football. Mm-hmm. But I also believe he's the type, he's like OBJ. He needs the ball early and he needs the ball a lot. Yeah. In order for him to stay engaged.
Yeah.
And he fumbled this week. I feel it was an awful fumble. I think he thought he was down.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. You still got to hold on to that ball.
Yeah,
you don't let people rip it out that,
Yep.
But he's just he doesn't seem like he's engaged in the game plan and he's engaged in the game. Now that's a fault on him. You're a pro. You're supposed to pay attention every play. You're supposed to take it all 100%.
I think I'll let Nate go in a second. I just think when you're sitting there and the offense is doing decent enough I think they're throwing more than they should, and I've told you that. But you're sitting there going, and you can see Dak and Zeke and Amari and all them sitting on the bench, and the defense allows 7 40-yard plays in the last game. I've never seen a defense do that in my life. And the offense just has their head down. They're like, what are we supposed to do? So I think at some point, I don't know if it's McCarthy, I don't know if it's yelling at Mike Nolan, the defense is going to have to go to 5th or 6th best in the league. The defense is going to have to say, okay, we're going to be 30th best, 29th best. You cannot win. No one has ever won with a defense this bad. It's not going to happen. So either the offense needs to do extra stellar or the defense just needs to actually wake up. So that's my only opinion. Is I'm saying I think the offense shouldn't have to play like they are. They're not a throwing offense. Me and you have agreed. It needs to go through Zeke. It needs to go through Pollard. They need to play a play action type offense where they start with the run and get Dak the time to throw. Dak is not a deep ball guy, but the defense has to do something. They cannot let Baker Mayfield look like a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Every quarterback we played has 100 QBR or better this year. Every single quarterback.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield's not a 100 QBR guy, ever. Right. We gave him 4 touchdown passes. I think he ran in for 1, too.
So, to talk about both teams, do you guys see a scenario where the Eagles win this division?
No.
Yes.
I don't.
I just see the Eagles mustering enough to get a few wins. This is a big 5-game stretch for the Cowboys.
And about to be for the Washington team, too. They got the easy games.
And, and I said it yesterday in the podcast, if Dallas doesn't win by 3 touchdowns, this is a bad game. Because you should win 24-3. Realistically, that's how bad the Giants' offense is. Mm-hmm. This is a huge stretch for both teams. But I feel that, one of these teams, I don't know if a winning record wins this division.
Probably won't.
But I don't see the Giants. I see the Giants being in the same situation that Washington's in. Is the guy we just drafted the guy?
I want to add this because I'm going to let Nate go because mine's quick. I think with Kyle Allen, potentially, Washington can be a lot better than what they've shown. But I'm going to say right now, and as I think Dallas, and I had my preseason, I had Dallas, then I had the Eagles, then I had Giants, and then I had this DC at the bottom. I'm putting DC as if I had to pick right now who's going to win this division between Dallas and DC. And the reason is we have a couple injuries, sure. We have 3 rookies on our line, whatever. I'm not blaming injuries, and neither is DC, right? You're about to get Chase Young back. The Eagles are completely battered. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. And I know they did it last year. They didn't do it like this last year. This is worse. Their O-line is worse. Their running back game is porrid, and Carson Wentz isn't playing lights out like he did last year. This whole team is porous. I don't foresee them. I could see the Giants still winning more games, and it's nothing against Carson Wentz. He's just having a bad year. Quarterbacks do. Right now, I think Washington football team and Dallas still look better than the other 2 teams in the division. And I'm not saying that because Nate's on the phone. I think with the run game of Gibson, I think with the Logan Thomas, McLaurin, the offense has potential, especially when the defense... I wish I could just have a fourth of the Washington defense, please, on Dallas. Mm-hmm. Something will help out. But that's my opinion. I don't think the Eagles have a chance. That's just me.
So here's why I'm going to say that the Eagles have a chance. Because Alshon Jeffrey's coming back within 2 weeks. Deshaun Jackson's coming back within 2 weeks. Jalen Rager's coming back either this week or next week. They get Derek Barnett back on defense. The Eagles have the most sacks in the NFL right now, which when I read that stat, I could not believe it. I don't know what it is about Carson Wentz, but that guy just will not let his team lose. He won't. And that's why I like Carson Wentz as a quarterback. I personally think the winner of this division at absolute best is going to be 8-8, but I think it's going to be 7-9. What I see happening in Dallas is I see Dallas going 6-10, and Dallas is going to lose 3 games within a score like they did against the Browns, because they're not going to fix themselves. They're not going to right themselves. They have injuries. I just don't see it happening, and I don't think that Dak has that same clutch, I'm going to win it regardless gene that Carson Wentz does. And I think Dak is a top 10 quarterback. I think Dak is a top 7 quarterback. But I just don't think that it's going to happen this year. I think Washington, where I picked us at the beginning of the year to be 5-11. I think we're still going to probably finish 5-11. I think that Kyle Allen's going to come in. We're going to lose to the Rams. I think we're going to beat the Giants. Probably going to lose to the Cowboys. Those games are toss-ups to me. I don't think the Giants are going to win more than 3 games this year. They might not even win 2. But in my personal opinion, I think it's a 3-horse race that Philly's just going to get healthy at the right time, whereas the Washington football team yes, I love Gibson and I love McLaurin, but you need more than 2 weapons. And Dallas's defense is going to finish the year historically bad, in my opinion.
I want to add one thing real quick to what he said, because I agreed with mostly of what he said. If it came between the Dallas and the Eagles, right? The Eagles, all their linemen, I believe, if I'm not wrong, I don't think I am. I think 3 of their linemen are on IR, and I think they're on season-ending IR, if I'm correct.
3 of them, yes.
3 of them. I think they're on season-ending IR. I think, and this is just me, I think it's still between, like I said, Dallas and DC, personally, because I think DC does, in a way, I just feel like they played scrappy, and I feel like they haven't played to the potential of that defense. If you asked me now with a gun to my head, I think Dallas can figure out their problems a little bit better before the Eagles get healthy enough to win more games. People are like, well, you said Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey are coming back, but they're both going to be hurt again. They've never played a full season, either one of them. So that's my concern is even if they come back, you might want to keep Greg Ward around and some random no-name dude with no face. You might want to keep these guys around because they have the injury bug bad, and it's every year.
All right, so I have a final question. I think this has been a lot of fun, to be honest with you. My final question is the biggest talk in the offseason was this. Is Dak going to get paid? And when and how much? So my question to you guys both is this, and I will answer this also. Is Dak going to get paid by the Cowboys, one? Is Dak going to get paid, period? Or is Dak a free agent and ends up somewhere else next year?
Who do you want to go first?
Whoever.
I'll go first. At this point, I would say, and I know it's a big in a garbage time, but I truly think Dak would probably get re-signed by the Cowboys. Unless this team goes completely south all year and we end up with 4 or 5 wins, like Nate just talked about. There's a chance that happens.
Okay, will it be Watson money? I'm not going to say Mahomes money. So Dak's going to have to take a pay cut from what he asked for.
Remember, when Dak, and I've uttered this for months, everybody knows this, what Dak asked for was not unfair to what the NFL and all the hoopla of all the fans thought it was. They heard $40 million, and they got on their high horses, sitting on the unicorn horn, and they got it all wrong. He wanted $40 million 5 years from now. He was only asking $35 a year, which would have put him 6th in the league, and Nate just said he's probably a top 7, top 10 quarterback. I thought that was fair enough money for what he's done for Dallas. However, he's making $32 on a franchise tag. All you would have had to do was pay him $3 million more, and then in his 5th year, he wanted $40 because of the CBA agreement. So then he would have been a little bit closer. He does not deserve Patrick Mahomes' money. He does not deserve who else just got paid? Deshaun Watson. I don't think Deshaun Watson deserved the money he got paid. That's just me. But I don't think Dak ever deserved more than $35 million around Carson Wentz, Big Ben, Jared Goff, those type of guys. He's not better than them. If he makes it to free agency and Dallas doesn't sign him, somebody will pick him up. I truly believe he'll be the biggest quarterback on the free agent market. That's just me.
All right. But you think Dallas will re-sign him?
I do. No matter what happens, if you ask me right now, I think he's been the best part of the entire team this whole year, NCD Lamb.
Okay. Nate?
Because of the way that the quarterback market is, there's no way Dallas is going to pull a Washington football team move and franchise tag their quarterback twice. Because they're paying Dak 32 this year, but it's fully guaranteed because he's on a franchise tag. They don't have they don't have the cap space.
We don't have
for
that kind
something
of cap,
like that, especially with the players that they need to re-sign on defense, and the fact that they're going to need to bring in whoever has a pulse on the free agent market on defense. I personally, I don't think Dallas is going to re-sign him. I don't. I think Dallas is going to be in a position where they're not going to. They can't allocate the money. They've strapped themselves in a position that they're screwed. Zeke's getting paid. Cooper just got paid. You've got Michael Gallup. What are you going to do with him? You have CeeDee Lamb. You got to get a tight end. You need offensive linemen, and they're still paying offensive linemen. You're paying defenders. You just they're strapped in a spot where they're not going to be able to work out a deal that Dak's going to like enough, in my opinion, to sign back in Dallas, especially when you look at a team like New Orleans, where Drew Brees is probably playing his last year. Jameis Winston, we all know, whether he got the LASIK or not, ain't it. And New Orleans is going to have the cap space to sign someone like Dak Prescott. I do agree with Christian. I think Dak's going to hit the market this year, and there's going to be a bid war on him because people are going to look at his stats. And he's on pace to throw for more yards than anybody's ever thrown in the NFL on double the amount of attempts.
Yeah.
I don't think he signs back in Dallas. I think he's going to sign a 2 to 3 year. I could see him signing a 3-year deal somewhere like New Orleans, or I don't see
Brady
him back in
retires on
Dallas.
top type thing, something like that to keep winning. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely won't disagree with that. I could see that happening too.
See, my philosophy is sort of piggybacking on what Nate said. They're going to lowball him, and they're going to lowball him hard. And they're going to come up with all the reasons why.
And they lowballed him this year.
Yeah, and they're going to say all these things like, well, garbage time stats or win-loss record, this, that, the other thing. They're going to do what negotiations do. They're going to, and Dak's representatives are going to say, look at these stats, look at this. And so it's going to be a back and forth. They're going to lowball him, and Dak's going to be like, no, I'm not taking that deal. And he's going to walk.
Yeah.
And I feel whoever, like, say, Breeze and Brady retire. You have those two teams. But I also feel whoever loses the young quarterback market, meaning who doesn't get a top 5 pick this year, and they're in the market for a quarterback because they need one. And I could see, honestly, I mean, if you want to talk serious, why wouldn't Washington take a chance? They have a young enough team where they're not strapped payroll-wise. And you see a quarterback that's you've played him twice a year, every year, what he can do. And I'm just throwing that team out and stuff.
No.
But
I didn't lean forwards for that.
I feel like the Cowboys lowball him and make him mad enough where he's like, fine, do your own thing, find a new quarterback.
Jerry Jones is notorious for lowballing people. When the deal first came out for Dak Prescott, it was 4 years. That was the original deal. Most people get 5. And that's the first thing he said is, I want 5. They're like, we're not paying you 5. And the reason why Dak wanted 5 is he said, one thing is, I want to be here after the CBA agreement, and I want longevity for me and my future family. And Jerry was like, no, Jerry loves 4-year deals. He's the dude that loves it. And I guarantee you they're going to come in and lowball him. But this is what I wanted to end with before I let y'all go. Well, not go, but talk. Is if Dallas somehow only wins 5 or 6 games, or 4 games, and they don't turn this around and end up winning 8 or 9, somewhere around there, where you have a chance in the playoffs, if they end up missing the playoffs this year, I think the rebuild's here. I do. Because of the way your money, you're going to be set up with his contract. Your defense is poured. You hired McCarthy for a reason. Maybe if it doesn't work out, McCarthy's like, hey, am I safe for a couple years? McCarthy's on a 5-year deal. 5 years. They didn't sign him to fire him next year. Mm-hmm. My guess is if it doesn't work out with this team we have, you're going to have Zeke, you're going to have Amari, they're going to let Gallup walk because Gallup's paid next year, not the end of this one, next year. CD's got 4 more years and a 5th option. Let these people walk. Let Gallup go next year. Let Dak go this year. Rebuild. Start over. You're going to be potentially a top 10 pick this year to get one of these quarterbacks if you wanted to go for that. If you don't want to pay Dak the $40 million he's going to want because of his garbage time stats, I'm telling you, he's going to go to the table saying, I did this while your defense was absolute garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to say that. And he's going to be like, and you know what's funny? Is he's going to deserve that $40 million for how bad the defense is for what he's had to do. That's not fair to him in ways, but if he doesn't get what he wants, he will walk away and Dallas is going to go, shit, he just won a Super Bowl in New Orleans.
I knew somebody was going to drop a swear in this episode.
That's my thing, though. But honestly, if we only win 4 or 5 games, rebuild. Let's do it. Why not? We have no cap space. This is the year. This is the year or next year.
Rebuild where you get rid of Zeke, you get rid of Cooper, you get rid of...
you can't. Zeke's in a 7-year deal. Amari's in a 5-year deal. You're not cutting them, and they're both in... Zeke's deal doesn't even start till next year. Okay. He's in his 5th year this year, right? 5th year option. So, and then Amari starts next year. They're locked up long term, but linemen are injured, linemen are retiring. Just it's time. If we don't do it this year, then that was my opinion. If you don't keep Dak this year into next year, you need to start the rebuild or tell Dak like, hey, do you want to be here? Because we're going to need you at $30 million. Or if not, we're going to get Trey Lance or Trevor Lawrence or that kid from Florida, Trask. Is that his name? We're just going to get somebody. Going to have to.
All right.
Go ahead, Nate.
So let's just this is final words now. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know, Nate, close, so any final thoughts on anything we've talked about?
I mean, just to kind of do a full recap, I'm going to talk about Dak real quick, and then I want to say one final thing on Haskins and the Redskins, or the Washington football team. So you brought up the point, like, why wouldn't the Washington football team take a chance on Dak? It's not taking a chance on Dak. If Cam Newton had hit the market next year the way that he did this year, that's taking a chance. And I think you signed Cam Newton to that 1-year, $8 million deal. But the problem is Cam Newton's also going to be on the market next year. Dak Prescott's going to be on the market next year. You've got 3 rookie quarterbacks who all have potential to come in and play. And then there's a 4th on the rise right now in Kyle Trask from Florida. I just, in my opinion, look, I hate saying what I'm about to say because I've crapped on this guy's entire career. If Washington works out a deal with Dak, I'm not going to be mad about it. But Washington needs a lot more pieces than just a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And if Kyle Allen is going to be a stopgap to where we can draft somebody like maybe right now Kyle Trask is still projected second round. If you could snag him there, have him sit for another year, and then have Kyle Allen and play, and then you start Trask or something like that. I would much rather that route than go and paying somebody. Now, granted, we have a ton of cap space, but I don't want to pay Dak $35-40 million a year to come play quarterback for 4 or 5 years. I just don't want to get into that bid war. Okay. But to end on the Washington football team, I think that this team has never had a quarterback that we could just roll with. I mean, Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks in the 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. It's just never been our thing, and I don't know that we're going to find our guy. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is the guy. I honestly don't see Dwayne being here for longer than this season. I don't think he's going to play another snap for the Washington football team unless Philly or Dallas goes on a run and we drop the next 4 games straight. I think Ron would probably throw him in then just to be like, okay, watch him still lose. I think what Dwayne has buried himself in a hole that he's not going to be able to climb out of. And Ron Rivera is the guy of many opportunities, but he's not going to take one on this. And people are mad about Ron saying that it's too early to bench him. Well, you don't get the name Riverboat Ron by not gambling on yourself.
Right. Yeah, I want to say 2 really quick things, and they don't have any. You guys don't have to respond to them at all. One, I don't see Dak going to DC, not because I have nothing against DC. Again, Jason Garrett went to New York, right? So I see somebody picking up Dak or Cam Newton who thinks their team is better than DC. No offense to DC, I think they're on the rise. He's going to go somewhere to a team that's going to make a playoff run, whose legend just retired. Like if Big Ben retires at the end of the season, out of nowhere, says, I want to spend more time with my wife and kids. I don't even have his wife and kids, right? That would be a place for Dak, right? So, and the other thing was with you mentioned Haskins, like cutting ties with him. I know it's only a second year. I have no idea what kind of cap hit that's going to be to cut a rookie in his rookie deal. I know it's usually a lot of millions involved, so they might keep him around for a few years longer or use him as trade bait, but he's got to have a lot of money owed if they were to cut him this year. He's in his second year. That's going to be probably $15 to $20 million. They have a lot of cap. They do. Nate said he's a lot of cap space. But I would just keep him around for filler and replace him before you get rid of him or try to trade him. That's a lot of cap you got to eat if you just cut him straight on the market. So that was my last part, was just I think they'd be better probably from hearing with Nate and things he said. They'd probably be better without him. But
if it wins you the locker room and you have the money,
it's
you eat that money. And
of course. I didn't know anything about the locker room, his lack of work off the field till Nate said it today. I had no idea about that.
So, but that's the thing. Like, that's the only way I feel you make that cut.
Of course.
Now, my final thoughts are this. I think out of the 2 teams we mainly talked about, Washington and the Cowboys have a better roster, okay? And because on paper, it looks better. I think the Washington football team has a better identity than what the Cowboys have right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the reason why I'm leaning towards the Eagles winning the division, just because of more continuity and knowing each other better than what the Cowboys are showing or Washington is showing. Now, the Cowboys are easily the most talented team in that division. Yeah. And I still agree that I think we've overrated them. But I still think even if we say we overrated them, they are still the most talented team in that division. And they have to go – if you go 6-0 in the division –
you're making the playoffs.
That's for the Cowboys, that's their 7 wins because they already have 1.
Yeah, so
so you're going to fall into another win without going 6-0. You fall into another win, so you're 8-8.
I just thought of something I want to add real fast that just you saying that made this pop into my head. I didn't think about it for months. Is that you're bringing in Mike McCarthy's style and what he likes to do. You're merging it with a Jason Garrett-esque offense. And I think what's happening is you're losing an identity because you have 2 forces merging together. Does that make sense? You have the run first kind of Zeke, little Dak. And then you have the right? And then you have the passing Dak, which isn't his thing. I think you have McCarthy and old Garrett still fighting over each other right now, and McCarthy needs to go, okay, we're going to play this like Garrett would and let Kellen Moore do what he did last year and run it, or I need to completely wipe slate, try to find my Aaron Rodgers, and try to do what I did in Green Bay with a 25th ranked defense at least, and just have a really good quarterback, which there's 4 really good passing quarterbacks in the draft right now that are ballers, especially like Trask and Lawrence. Those dudes are ballers right now. So that's just my only thing. I didn't think about that maybe it's just 2 different styles molding together. They don't have an identity. Are you Garrett and Kellen Moore, or are you McCarthy?
Okay.
And they're trying to do both, and I don't think it's working.
All right, so my final thought is this. Nate, I will let you go next. So was that your final thought?
I'm good. I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry.
My final thought is this. Why did you even fire Garrett then? Okay, because if you have that identity crisis, why did you even get rid of him?
That's fair.
And McCarthy comes in. McCarthy, as the head coach, has to say, you know what, Kellen Moore? This is the offense we're running. I don't care if we have growing pains. This is the offense we're running.
Yeah.
And you're going to run it. And if you aren't on board, take a hike. I'll call the plays.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, that's what a head coach does. You don't fire Garrett and then keep everything Garrett did.
That's the thing. And that's why I wonder if it was like a COVID-related thing. Why didn't a new offensive coordinator come in? That's my thing.
Yep.
It feels like McCarthy wants to implement what he wants to do, but that Garrett fog is still over the team, that they want to play like Garrett was still there. So I'm like, figure it out. Pick one or the other, and stick to it. So go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry.
I mean, well, so you're saying that, but then you look at the Washington football team, and I hired Ron Rivera, who we don't deserve him, and I could not be more thankful that we got him. But people are mad after watching Scott Turner's offense the first couple weeks, because they're like, you should have kept Kevin O'Connell and Dwayne gelled. Well, Ron Rivera doesn't give 2 craps. He got hired to turn a crap organization into a winner. And what did he do? He brought everybody that he knew, that he was comfortable with, that he liked, that he had vetted with him to Washington. Our offensive coordinator from Carolina, he brought in Del Rio, who he's worked with in numerous different organizations. He brought in different quarterbacks coach, a different running backs coach. He got rid of the longtime wide receivers coach that everybody loved. He brought in people that he liked, and he made it his. So if McCarthy's not doing that and he doesn't want to do that, it can't be COVID related, because Washington did it. I just think McCarthy isn't the guy, in my opinion. And I know that it's too early to say that, but it's like he was handed a good team in Green Bay that didn't really have a lot of issues. They knew their identity. He knew what he had. It's not the same in Dallas. And I'm just so thankful that Washington was able to hire Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
So with that, we're about at our time, so we're gonna go in and wrap it up.
I think that was a good conversation.
Yeah, I had fun.
think we had made some good points here and there. Going to be interesting to see what the next quarter of the season does, where week 8 is right around the corner.
Yeah, I know.
So Nate, thanks for jumping on. I know it was early for you, but thanks for jumping on, and we're going to talk to you soon.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for having me.
Always, bud.
Always,
Have
man.
a great day.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.
See you, bud. So that was Nate once again. Hope you guys enjoy this. I know this was a little bit off. We just wanted to talk about mainly Nate's team. We wanted to get into the Cowboys a little bit of the teams that, honestly, Washington football team's not really disappointing, but it's fun to talk about with our guys and talk about Cowboys, one main disappointing team this year. I know we didn't get to Houston and all that, but we'll add them in. We got a lot of shows coming up for you guys. So Anything else you got to say, Mark?
No, I was happy with that, and it was good to have arguments and, get fired up a little bit. And, we're going to talk to you guys soon. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys.